We're back. Kevin Freeman is one of our duty experts on a whole portfolio of things that are of absolutely paramount importance to our country, to our people, and particularly to that very substantial proportion of our population, by some estimates, 160 million of us, who are invested in the stock market or bonds or the capital markets more generally. Kevin Freeman is a chartered financial analyst by training. He worked for the great Sir John Templeton a lifetime ago. These days, he is a duty expert for not just securing America, but for our government, for the media, for investors at Economic War Room, the terrific program on Blaze TV that he hosts about economic warfare and the various enemies of this country that are engaged in it against us and what we need to do about it. He's the author of two best selling books, Game Plan and Secret Weapon. He has a terrific podcast, Global Economic uh, Warfare.com, I believe it is. And also, you can follow, of course, his work at economicwarroom.com. Kevin Freeman, it's great to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you, Frank. Always good to be with you.
Well, the market seems to be in considerable disarray at the moment, Kevin. Why is that? And is there any prospect of a turnaround that will make this just an uncomfortable blip as opposed to the beginning of a bear market or worse?
Well, we had an uncomfortable blip with COVID, but the economy was so good going into COVID, and the confidence was so good that we could come out of it, that was very short lived. What we're seeing now is more people concerned about. Well, you just look at the supply chain. You go to a grocery store and you see empty shelves. You recognize prices that are going up. You know, eight percent is the reported consumer price index gains, but it's much higher than that. You see instability across the economy around the world. We're at war. These are the natural result of Biden policies that are hammering middle class Americans. And with that loss of confidence, then you see the stock market dropping like it hasn't done in, well, really since 2008.
Yeah. Which was a very big blip, to say the least. In fact, you believe, Kevin, and it's the subject of your terrific book, Secret Weapon, that we actually were attacked in an economic or financial warfare operation um, in that bad moment in 2008. Remind us of what happened there and how it indicates adversaries of this country are perfectly capable of weaponizing financial techniques to our great detriment.
Well, that's a great point, Frank. In fact, if you look, just Google the words economic warfare, and you'll see that we declared an economic war on Russia without
Mhm.
question. And they certainly know exactly how to pull those levers that would cause our stock market to crash, or the Chinese could, or the Iranians could, or the North Koreans could. So what happened in 2008 was a literal attack on our market using derivative instruments, whether it was naked short selling or credit default swaps or all these complex Wall Street things. That could absolutely be happening again. And we wouldn't not necessarily know it if that's the case. But what we are seeing here is the perfect timing to do such an attack because so much confidence is lost. You know, the heady days of Bitcoin at 60,000, Bitcoin dipped below 30,000. All of the speculation is being sucked out of the market. That would be the ideal time to do such an economic warfare attack. And the Russians, the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Iranians, as we documented in my books and repeatedly, all have knowledge of how to just pull that off. And the Biden administration, I don't think, has any idea of how to stop it, if even if they wanted to.
Yeah. This is made the more acute, it seems to me, as a problem, Kevin, as a result of one of the other things that you've covered handsomely, of course, at Economic War Room, among other places, and that is the amount of money that Americans have invested in one of those enemies. Unbelievably, the Chinese Communist Party and the companies that it owns and controls. Talk a bit about the vulnerabilities that are arise as a result of that? And have we, in fact, seen the Chinese utilizing those vulnerabilities to the detriment, particularly of those investors?
We know they've utilized the vulnerabilities of, we say it all the time. What we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. Well, to us, oh, what a great opportunity to invest in China. To the Chinese Communist Party, not the people, but the Chinese Communist Party, what a great opportunity to sucker Americans into giving us their money that we can build the weapons, the social credit scores, the all the terrible things that they're doing around the world, Belt and Road, and everything else. So they've entered our stock markets and they've offered things like Alibaba, but they've also offered Luckin Coffee and things that turned out to be fraudulent in their
Mhm.
accounting practices and so forth. And we let them do it.
Right.
More specifically, the Obama Biden administration let them do it. And then they went further. We want even more. We want our American servicemen and women. We want patriotic government employees. We want their money too. So they tried to infiltrate through uh, Wall Street, BlackRock, Larry Fink, and others, and take American money through the thrift savings plan, which is like the great pension plan of our government employees and military and so forth, to invest in China. And
Mhm.
can you imagine that a service member putting money into a Chinese company building a weapon aimed back at American military? It's just
It's obscene.
ludicrous. We killed it, and then now they're trying to bring it back. So it really is because they've co-opted and corrupted a lot of Washington D.C.
They have indeed. This is elite capture, as it's called, and it's just one facet of something you've studied closely and done a brilliant job of exposing, Kevin Freeman, and that is the Chinese Communist Party's unrestricted warfare against us. And you mentioned during the Biden vice presidency his role in actually giving them access to our capital markets on preferential terms. They don't have to conform, as you know, to our accounting standards, and that simply creates vastly more opportunities for fraud and manipulation of our markets. By some estimates, we lost about $600 billion, American investors in China, just last year. So this is real, and the money is real, and we're going to talk more about what you can do about it on the other side of a very short break. Back with Kevin Freeman right after this.